Hi, let's talk about the most searched writing questions, and I'll answer them as a writer who's written books. How many books have I written? That's a good question. I've written four. By the time you're seeing it, I probably have three published, and one I am working on. So, yeah. Okay. And I'm 22. Okay, so how do I start writing a book? You start with the outline. How can I improve my writing skills? Vocabulary and living life. I think a good writer is a good liver, in the sense that not like the liver, the body part, but the person has lived a lot and has lived enough to have seen a lot, because you don't want just your personality replicated 1,000 times. You want to write about other people's personality, or write about the world, and for all of those endeavors you need to have lived. How do I overcome writer's block? I've never had writer's block. I think also because I don't count days I don't write. I just don't count them. Once in a while I'll have a day where I don't write anything at all, and that's okay. And I think being more like letting inspiration come when it is there, and enjoying it thoroughly when it is there, makes it more enticing for the inspiration to come again. How long does it take to write a book? Depends on what you mean by write a book. So my latest book I wrote, I think, in a couple months, but I researched for like a year or two. So I don't know when you'd start counting. And I think that my other fiction book I also wrote in 3 months, but then there was the editing process. So it depends on when you start counting. How do I write a story? By being in the story and then breaking up with the story by the end of it. Like, you don't want to stay in that life, but you, by being in the story, by being one of the characters, or by being the third person explaining, by not being so distant from the story. I think distance to a story is not good. How do I create believable characters? You make them human, you make them flawed, you make them contradictory. The woman who's obsessed with fashion but doesn't wear high heels. The man who is like such a like charming person but then somehow is single always. You want to make them human, which makes them full of contradictions. How do I write dialogue naturally? You know both of the characters really well. You have to get to know your characters well. I know my characters so well, I still see them on occasion. I'm like, oh, that's that, that's that. But you know them so well that you could see what they would write. How do I outline a book before writing it? You just do it. You just do it. Like Nike said. No, but you really do. Like, there's no magic to it. What are the steps, step to step publishing a book, writing the book and then publishing it? I'm being a little bit hyperbolic, but you outline, you write, you have a lot of drafts, you feel insecure, and then you publish. How do I get a book traditionally published? I don't know. I haven't done that yet. How much money do writers make? Well, they're not in it for the money, and if they are, they're kind of stupid. Can I make a living writing? I don't know. What do you need to live? How do I become a freelance writer? I don't know. I think you go on websites and look for what people need. How do I write content for blogs or websites? I don't know. What grammar mistakes should writers avoid? I have dyslexia. I'm not the right person for that question. How do I write a compelling opening sentence? You try not to make it compelling, you make it part of the story. Because nobody's like, oh, the first sentence was so good, I had to read it. No, like the first sentence and the second sentence and the third sentence have to be good. It has to flow into the book. How do I write a compelling I read that. How do I write better descriptions? You describe what you see. This is something I found out. I'm not a particularly visual person, so in my books, you don't get a huge, long description of how everyone looks and what everything looks like, but you'll get a lot of their thoughts and their inner dialogue. And I think that's the beauty. How do I write better descriptions? Oh, I read. How do I write a screenplay? I don't know, I haven't done that yet, but that sounds fun. How do I write poetry? You live. You live, you love, and you get your heart broken. How many words should a novel be? I think there's something like 900. It's like 90,000 words is 300 pages. And I don't know what makes a novel or not, or like what makes that, but I love 300. I think 300 is a good number. How many words should a novel be? I just said that. How do I edit my own writing reflectively? You have to let it sit for a month. There's a not a golden rule, but there's a rule where you have to let your writing sit for a month. What are the habits of successful writers? They write. They write. That's what a writer does, is they write. Thanks for watching.